Last time I talked about culture hacking and how to shift your organization towards a more user centric way of working. This time I want to get practical about one of the tools that can make that cultural change possible, and that's internal marketing. I have some bad news. If you're a design leader, part of your job is going to involve being a kind of marketer. Not the fancy kind with huge budgets and billboards, but the scrappy guerrilla kind that gets attention without spending a fortune. Why, you might ask? Well, it's because you want to change how people in your organization perceive users and value your team. And to do that, you need to get their attention first. Traditional marketing does not work well when you're trying to reach your colleagues, and so you need unconventional, low cost strategies instead. Now, before I get into the specific tactics, you need to understand the real goal here, which is to create UX ambassadors throughout your organization. As I've said many times, you cannot be everywhere at once. You cannot be attending every meeting, influencing every decision, or educating every colleague personally. But you can identify and equip people across different departments who care about the user and give them the tools to spread UX thinking in their own teams. This is how real cultural change happens, not through presentations from the UX team, but through conversations between colleagues who trust one another. So how do you find and develop these ambassadors? You start by identifying who is already interested and then equip them to advocate for UX in every corner of the organization. One of the most obvious tools to start with is a newsletter. When I start working with organizations, one of the first things I do is send an email to as many people across the organization as I possibly can. In that email, I ask people to opt in if they're interested in UX, what the UX team is doing, and how UX can make a difference in their jobs. Then I build a whole landing page that outlines the benefits of subscribing and what the newsletter is going to cover, treating it like a proper marketing site that encourages people to sign up. I do this because the people who choose to subscribe have identified themselves as potential UX ambassadors. These are the people most likely to care about the user and most willing to champion UX thinking in their teams. You want to start with them. Once people opt into the newsletter, you need to send it regularly. I normally set a schedule of between once a month and every couple of weeks. Consistency keeps UX front of mind and gives your ambassadors fresh material to share with their colleagues. The content also matters significantly. Too often newsletters become just self-promotion for the UX team and nobody cares or wants that. Instead, your newsletter should equip people to become UX advocates in their own teams. You need to share practical tips that they can pass on to their colleagues. Provide explanations of UX principles that are easy to remember and to repeat, and include success stories and case studies they can reference in their meetings. Give them language and examples that make it easier to champion user-centered thinking when you're not in the room. Think of your newsletter as a toolkit for ambassadors, not a marketing brochure for your team. Another powerful tool is a discussion forum, whether that's in Slack or Teams or wherever you want. When people sign up to the newsletter, they're invited to join the forum as well. And this is where your ambassadors can get support when they run into resistance. Someone in marketing tries to advocate for simpler language and gets shut down, or somebody in sales pushes back on a feature request that ignores user needs and they in turn face pushback. These moments are where UX culture is either built or broken, and the forum gives your ambassadors a place to share those challenges, ask for advice, and get encouragement from others who are fighting similar battles. It also helps them to learn from each other's successes and failures. A forum keeps the conversation going between newsletters and turns isolated UX advocates into a connected network supporting each other across the organization. Now, to move up the priority ladder within the organization, you also need to consider PR stunts because they can be very effective. These don't need to be expensive, they just need to be memorable. For example, I once replaced the corporate wall art with user personas and design principles. We did get in trouble for that one, but it got people talking. Other approaches might include challenging executives to complete usability tasks, or creating screensavers with UX stats and user quotes, or having team members dress up to make a point about organizational culture. The goal is to create moments where people remember you, remember the user experience, and talk about that. Running an internal conference is another way to get attention and support. You can provide lunch, secure sponsorship from UX platforms for expo stalls, invite guest speakers, bring in end users, run breakout groups, and demonstrate user testing. Having an executive speak at these events is particularly effective because it forces them to think about the user experience and publicly align themselves with UX initiatives. You can also circulate video clips of user test sessions because that creates real buzz as well. Both successes and horror stories work well. Seeing real users struggling with a product is far more powerful than any report you could write. Keep the clips short and focused on specific moments that clearly illustrate your point. Physical items can keep user experience front of mind in a way that digital content cannot. I've seen notebooks with customer quotes, personalized mugs with personas on them, and coasters with UX tips work really well in various organizations over the years. These items serve as a constant reminder that users exist and matter, even when people are not actively thinking about UX. You really need to find your inner marketer when it comes to building the profile of user experience within your company. Some of these suggestions might feel a bit embarrassing or a bit inappropriate with your organization, but you do need to push the boundaries of what you think you can get away with. If you always do what is safe or what has been done before, you're never really going to see change. But if you get fired, please don't blame me. Next time, we're going to talk about one of the most powerful ways of building support for UX, which is engaging stakeholders directly in UX activities. When executives and colleagues see user research and testing firsthand, everything changes.